Katy.
All right, let's talk about Mark Kelly, which is another wrinkle to all of this retribution and maybe overextending themselves on what they actually have the authority to do. The Pentagon is investigating, or the Pentagon might recall Mark Kelly and court-martial him. They're thinking about that. The FBI is now trying to interview all of the lawmakers who were in that video, saying you can or you have an obligation to not follow an illegal order. They specifically said illegal order. The White House has been trying to say that they didn't say illegal to spin it. What are they doing, Paul?
I think it's the next phase of their full spectrum attack against their political opponents. And one difference with Mark Kelly and all the other people you cited on that graphic is that this is using the Department of Defense. This is breaking glass that's never been broken before. We're crossing the Rubicon into some very deep authoritarian waters here. I mean, he's threatening a retired member of the military. He's threatening to pull him back on active duty, try him under the UCMJ for sedition. He also said he should be executed, right? And I think this should be alarm bells, not just for people in Congress, but for all Americans. There are 2 million military retirees in America. So if he can do this to Mark Kelly, he can do that to them, too. And I think the chilling effect it will have across the Pentagon and across the civilian population, people who are out of the military.
Kenny, though, I mean, what is the basis with which they can actually get this going? I mean, he was very careful in his language. And all of these lawmakers, including Mark Kelly, who responded exclusively to Rachel Maddow last night, said this is in the handbook. This is in the military handbook. This is a code of conduct in the military handbook. Also, he's a senator, so isn't there a speech and debate issue as well?
I think this is a direct attack on free speech, but it doesn't mean they're not going to do it, right? And I think it will have a chilling effect. I think it will intimidate people. It will, encourage people to be reluctant to speak out, especially if they're not in Washington. They don't have legal defense, and they're worried about also the death threats that come with it, because that's a huge intimidation factor. Every one of those 6 is facing an overwhelming slew of death threats, and that has an impact, too. So he's achieving his goal of squishing free speech, and he's attacking his political enemies, but he's using the Department of Defense. And this might be the first of a new wave to come using that tool.
And the reason I question this, David, is it's clear that it, at the very least, is intimidation. We don't want you saying that. You shouldn't be allowed to say that. We're gonna try to stop you from saying that. But when Donald Trump has ventured into that free speech area, I mean, he did it with Jimmy Kimmel. He hasn't fared well. Americans don't like it. They're not comfortable with it. So what is ultimately, I mean, is this ultimately going to be what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I at this point, I would not be surprised that if they try to actually bring charges. I mean, after what we've seen from Comey, what we've seen
But David, you're a JAG. Do they actually have the authority to, or the basis, the premise, the conduct to actually bring charges?
Absolutely not. All that this lawmaker's video did was essentially restate the law. You don't have to obey illegal orders. And in fact, in some circumstances, you're actually compelled to disobey illegal orders. This is basic stuff. And when I was a JAG officer, I briefed soldiers, thousands of soldiers, on the laws of armed conflict, on the rules of engagement. And this was a message that I said to thousands of soldiers. This is very, very basic stuff. But as soon as Donald Trump labels it sedition, everyone in MAGA has to act like this is sedition. So what we have seen is time and time again, Trump lashes out, and then it's show me the man, and then I'll find the crime. So he has identified a target, and they're trying to find a way to take legal action. There's no basis here at all. But as we know, that doesn't mean they won't try. That doesn't mean they won't put the judicial system, in this circumstance, perhaps the military justice system, to the test.
Here's the risk, though. Don Bacon, I mean, he's coming out and saying this is crazy. He said crazy. There's also, when we look online and we look at social media accounts, I mean, it does feel like there's a big MAGA universe that's parroting the same thing, that's angry. But when you look and you see where a lot of those accounts are from, and there's been a lot of revelations about this recently because of a change in the way X is set up, you can see a lot of those accounts are like in Russia, or they're in like South Asia, or with big followings that seem to be amplifying the MAGA messaging and this idea that Donald Trump is invincible. Donald Trump has the right to investigate anybody, to charge anybody. It does. I'm starting to wonder how much smoke. I'm not starting to wonder. I've wondered for a long time. But like, it's being revealed that a lot of it is smoke and mirrors.
Well, a lot of it is sparks being lit by our enemies. right? I mean, our enemies are celebrating the division and the friction and the president fighting with a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, right? I mean, we are at war with ourselves, and our enemies do celebrate that. But I think there's another motive here, too. They want to ruin his reputation, right? There are large swaths of MAGA now that will believe that this is sedition. They will believe he's a traitor, and that's false. But they are continuing to try to bring people down a notch, and they're picking someone deliberately who is an astronaut, who is well known, who was rumored to be a VP candidate. Kelly's the one they want to go for, because if they prove they can take him down a notch, they can come after anyone.
We will see. All right, Paul Rieckhoff, really good to have you, as always. Everybody else, my illustrious panel of voices, David, Ken, and Mark. Mark, I want to come join you down there in Miami. It looks lovely.